Let's finish it.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of The Closing Pitch. My name is Spiker Helms, and this show is about people, culture, and how to create a winning lifestyle. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button with your elbow or your forehead. That will help us out a lot with the show and pushing it forward. You can also write in the comment section of the YouTube video, or you can send us a review on Apple Podcasts if you like what you hear. If you don't like it, you can also write.
We like that too.
Yeah, I mean, hey,
I got to know how to get better.
I know. I mean, give us a 1-star review.
Dave, your hat is terrible looking today. Take that thing off.
You went backwards hat and then you switched
I
it up.
know.
Like, you're a little.
I felt really like a 34-year-old doing this. Like, I don't know.
You're almost in dad mode.
Even though I honestly, God, I do rock the backwards hat like all the time at home.
I know what I'm going to get you for Christmas.
What's that?
I'm going to get you the New Balance white shoes.
No, dude, I'm not there yet. No.
You and Hacker
I won't rock that.
You and Hacker can talk
I
shop.
won't. I still like to be like somewhat fashionable with my Nikes, so.
I mean, you always wear a polo.
I try on my off days of not like wearing this stuff.
You always wear your shorts. You just don't tuck your polo into your shorts.
Sometimes.
Well, sometimes you do.
Sometimes.
And then you're just missing the high tube socks.
Honestly,
and then,
it's whether or not I got a good belt on.
I went to Thomas Rhett this past weekend.
There you go.
And I love Thomas Rhett.
Okay.
Saw him 3 years ago at Missouri State. Cool dude. Just awesome dude.
Most country singers are.
Yep. He comes out in a dad outfit. Cardinal shirt tucked into his jeans. Like, it was kind of cool because he's wearing a Cardinal shirt tucked into his jeans and had cowboy boots and just had a huge beard and everything. Just looked like a dad from like in the winter.
But see, he's gotten to that point of success in his life that he can just do those things. He can do whatever he wants.
It's like Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber could like just look like a scrub, and
it doesn't matter.
And everyone thinks he looks cool.
It does not matter. I am not at that point, so I cannot go the New Balance route. Cannot do it.
Guys, in this episode, I don't want you to take this the wrong way. And it's something that I've been thinking about for a long time, and it's not getting better. I think social media plays a huge factor in this. It's being victims. And the reason that I'm bringing this up is that people are struggling with knowing how to deal with bullies, knowing how to deal with adversity, going into a tournament and seeing people just like, oh, it's because of this and it's because of that. Or even when someone calls them a name, they get completely offended and they don't know how to protect themselves. Now, again, there are some things that are granted as like, you shouldn't say those things.
Sure.
But there are going to be people out there that don't like you. There are going to be people out there that are jealous of you. And there are going to be people that want you to be just out of their life completely. And the only way that they can handle that is to go after you, call you names, get under your skin, push your buttons. We as a society right now have no idea how to stop that. And it keeps on building on itself year after year after year, where you just don't give them oxygen. And we're giving those people oxygen. And I'm tired of giving those people oxygen because they say something and then you get mad and then you announce it to social media and you think it's going to go away. Rather, social media is a firestorm. It's a fire hose. You add one spark, one amber onto that conversation, it shoots up like that. Mm-hmm. And then the bullies see that and they like, I got under your skin. I'm going to keep doing it. Stop me. We need to approach bullies in a manner that back when I was a kid, I hate saying that, back when I was a kid, I had bullies in my life. Yeah, I'm an athlete. Yeah, I'm not going to lie, I was popular in school. But I still had people that would come up to me and bully the shit out of me. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know how to handle that. 3rd grade, had 2 bullies that kept on picking on me. High school, had a couple guys pick on me. My parents did a really good thing for me, and I didn't realize it until going through this now. They told me, Spiker, you're giving them oxygen. Get the hell away from them. And I didn't understand that when I was in third grade. I just kept on messing with this kid. My dad pulled over to the side of the road because he was tired of me bitching about this kid. And he said, Spiker, I'm going to tell you one more time. You either have to confront him or you get the hell away from him. And don't give him oxygen because he's feeding off of it. As a society, that's what we're doing right now. Someone calls you a name and then you get super pissed and then you go shout it off to the world. Mm-hmm. It's just like teacher. Like you have a problem on the playground and then you go to the teacher thinking the teacher's going to solve it. Teacher's not going to solve it. It's going to make it worse for you. Teacher's going to end up going to that bully and saying, hey, you need to stop picking on Spiker. Mm-hmm. Guess what the kid's going to do?
Probably pick on you more.
Oh, he's going to pick on me more. Rather than if I go up and I say, hey, Zach, stop with me. Mm-hmm. Stop messing with me. And I hate to use this curse words right now, but it's getting to a point where I'm like my dad right now, where it's like, stop giving these people oxygen and they will go away. The victim mentality is not a good situation. And being inside sports, my whole goal in being in sports and not choosing to go into the financial world, which I could have done, but the reason I'm in youth sports is because I had coaches that taught me these lessons. Mm-hmm. I had people that came up to me and they showed me the way. Like, if you have a bully, you need to stand up for yourself. Mm-hmm. If you have a bad moment that comes into your life throws you, hate using that cliche, throws you a little curveball. How are you going to react? What are you going to do? Are you going to play checkers? Are you going to play chess? Say it all the time. Are you playing checkers or are you playing chess? Are you going to man up or you're not going to man up? Are you going to woman up or are you going to be a girl? That's where I'm struggling with in the last 2 to 3 years and seeing, and there's some really good parents out there. Like there are some dynamite parents that just, I hope that their children can see this in like 3 years or 4 years or 5 years. But it just sucks, man. Like, I don't know.
I think it's like when you're talking about the victim mentality or you're talking about making excuses or I think all it takes is one. Yeah. You know, when you feel like, because I think everybody's naturally inclined to do that. You have a tough situation that presents itself or adversity, like you said, or somebody's making fun of you or whatnot. It's very, very, the easy way out is to cry, like, woe is me in that moment, or go try to find someone else to help you in that, or to blame the situation for your issues or anything else like that. That is the easiest way to do it. And then kind of what happens, and I deal with this with players and coaches all the time, once you do that one time, it gets easier to do the next time and the next time and the next time. And then before you know it, whether you're meaning to do this or not, you're allowing all those situations to control you. And then it just, again, it's like, it's easy to blame everybody else on why you messed up. It's easy to run away from a tough situation that presents itself, or maybe an awkward conversation. Yeah, I hear that all the time from some of the people that I listen to that I think are really smart, and they thrive in those awkward conversations, those tense conversations that, listen, we're going to figure this out right now. It doesn't have to be, I'm going to yell back at you and then you're going to yell back at me or whatever it might be, but we're going to confront this at the head and we're going to stop it. Because if we don't now, then it's going to explode throughout the rest of my life in different areas. And to take it to the baseball context, and we'll go through some things here, but that's definitely one of the main reasons that I see athletes leaving the sport at all ages is because they've never confronted it at an early age of when I make a mistake or, again, tough situations, or a coach is teaching me hard or coaching me hard, and it's easy to look at it as he's picking on me or he's being mean to me and not to Johnny. Why is that happening? well, maybe he sees more in you, or maybe you should just think about that a little bit. And we can go in a million different, situations, but it's definitely getting people out of the game, and it's definitely hindering performances and overall experiences.
In today's age, anxiety is the big thing. Like that's the catchword right now.
Oh, yeah.
Which, guys, if you don't have anxiety, you're not excelling. You know how much anxiety I have throughout the year?
I have anxiety every day.
Like, TikTok has done wondrous jobs for a lot of people. Like, you can learn a lot of information on TikTok. You can learn a lot of information on Twitter. But you can also go down a rabbit hole of being in an echo chamber of, oh, this is why I have anxiety. Like, bro, if you don't have stress in your life and you're not getting tested, you're not moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you are a trust fund baby where you got money because your parents took that stress. They're the ones that took that anxiety. They're the ones that took that bared the cross.
But even that, again, it goes back to what we were saying. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're almost in the most comfortable spot in your entire life, whether it be financial freedom or you're the best player on your team or whatever it might be. I guarantee there's something right around the corner that's going to be tough for you, because that's just what life is. You almost can't hide from it. So again, whenever those situations occur, you almost have one of two choices. Yes, you're going to feel anxious. Yes, you're going to feel awkward. Yes, you're going to feel nervous. You're not going to like it because those situations are never fun, right? But you can play the victim. You can blame others. You can run away from that situation. And then honestly, whenever that situation occurs again, you're just going to shell up. It's never going to get better. And honestly, it probably gets worse. Or you can stop it right then, right there. You can take some ownership on it. That's probably one of the best practices of it. Like, again, I was talking to you before here. It's like, I say this in the office. I'm a big Mizzou football fan. Mm-hmm. Okay? Huge. They just got absolutely throttled this last weekend by a good Tennessee team, but it's probably one of the worst losses in Mizzou's career. Mm-hmm. And we have a new coach in there who's trying to make his mark. You know how easy it would have been for him to walk into that press conference after the game with all those angry reporters there and blame a situation. Oh, the weather wasn't good. It was raining. It was overcast. We didn't get to practice a whole lot that week, or, our guys are still learning the offense, or we're still doing this and we're still acclimating.
Yeah. Or our guys are tired.
Yeah, he could have said every single one of those things.
Upper management didn't help us out.
Anything. He could have done anything there. He walked up to that mic, and I got to respect him for this, even though I was obviously not happy with the result. He said that was a disappointing and basically a terrible performance. It starts with me, and it ends with me. I'm the one to blame. I have to get better. That also means our team has to get better. We will fix it, but it's our fault. He took ownership for it. And I wish that some players, I wish coaches, I definitely wish parents would look at that type of a situation going forward and take a little bit more ownership for it. Don't place blame on others. Don't play the victim, mode where everybody's out to get me, right? I'm the victim. That it just, no matter how hard I try, I can't win. That's a terrible cliche. I hate that. That's an excuse. There's no, I don't care where you're at in life or whatnot. If you choose to work your, tail off and keep going, you'll figure out a way to win. I'm a firm believer in that. So think about that in terms of those. I bet anybody can look back in the past 2 weeks, months, whatever, and think about a situation that didn't go that way and think about how you acted. Did you own it? Did you take it? Did you run with it to try to fix it, or did you play the blame game, put excuses on other people?
Success always comes at a cost. Are you willing to take that cost? In sports, it's putting in the hours. It's working your tail off to where you can't wake up in the morning because you're so sore. That's during your winter training. Or it's you being at the field and being so mentally tough that it could rain, drizzle consistently for the whole game, winds blowing in front of you the whole game, are you willing to overcome that? And that's how championships are won.
Mm-hmm.
In finance, it's volatility. Can you stomach the volatility of something dropping 20% and still sticking with your guns and sticking with your thesis, sticking with your narrative, while everyone else is going with the fear and the greed? When they always say, if there's blood in the streets, you need to start stocking up.
Yep.
If people are very bullish and everyone is really high on that piece, it's time for you to get out. It always comes at a cost. And when you are being a victim and you're playing to your emotions and you're not willing to stand on your own 2 feet, you will get railroaded at some point in your life. For players, it's when you have someone calling you a name. It's dugout talk. It's trash talk. Coaches don't hear that trash talk because players don't do that in front of the coaches.
Well, by the way, that one right there, when the other team is getting loud at us or the other team is saying things to us, and whenever I have one of my players or one of our team starts, being upset about that, which happens all the time. How often have you heard that? How often does that situation come up where the other dugout's so loud or somebody said something to a player or whatnot? How do you respond to that to players?
Figure it out, man. Like,
I'll tell you.
I've said this to a couple players. Like, if you are upset about them saying words over there, just wait till you get to college.
Right.
It's worse.
Right.
And it's not the players. It's the fans.
Oh yeah.
Like we had Matt Adams and Rafi talking about this. Like they were treated at sometimes as not human beings.
Yeah.
And they're at the top of their game. Are you willing to go that far?
My favorite responses to that is, number one, what would you like me to do about it? I can't help you in this situation. I go, number two, if you are letting that get to you, the number one, then you're feeding them. Okay, they're never going to stop. They're going to get worse. And you are letting the smallest, tiniest thing dictate your game as to why you're going to lose. This game's already over. You need to find a way to drown it out or shut them up. You need to find a way. And what's the best way to do it? Beat them. They'll stop talking. They'll be quiet. Drown them out. Don't pay attention to it.
It's feeding them oxygen. When
it keeps going back to it, right?
It goes back. If you want to suffocate a bully, the best suffocation is silence.
And to go about your business.
Because the bully doesn't know what to do. The person that is talking trash or getting under your skin or doing actions that causes you harm, they're doing it because you're feeding them oxygen.
My favorite thing when I was on the mound pitching, absolute favorite thing, was like when that tense moment would come up and that other dugout is bum, 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 just chirping, just saying everything, making loud noises, trying to distract me, trying to get a rise out of me so that I would walk that guy or leave one down the middle and they get a big hit or anything. I absolutely loved that moment because that was the moment where I decided I was going to focus and I was going to pay a single bit of attention to them. And with this next pitch, they were going to be real quiet. And then I was going to walk off that field and I'm not going to give a single thing to them. I'm going to take it all away. I loved that moment. And I can see that with kids. When a player really locks in that moment, he's going to be successful. She's going to be successful. That's going to work because they understand how to deal with that pressure, that adversity, that awkward moment. Whenever I see a player buckle or throw his hands up or his body language or his posture or his performance just goes down into the tube, well, we got to figure out how to take care of that situation next time because if we don't, you're just not going to be around and it's definitely going to trickle into other aspects of your life. How are you going to do when that big test comes up? How are you going to do in that social situation that's awkward? It's all relative. It's all the same.
If you look at the guys that have high emotions in the game, they don't last that long in MLB baseball. Jose Bautista, after that whole deal with him doing the bat flip, what happened after that? Yeah. His whole career declined. Yeah. Max Scherzer doesn't say a word, doesn't give any emotions. When the stakes are at its highest, he throws that ball, gets the out, and doesn't say a word. He just walks off the mound, gets back into the dugout, focuses in on his next pitch. The guys that struggle, that are not winners, they're the ones that show high emotion. Another great example, Tom Brady. Whenever there is a high-stakes situation and he knows that fans are down his throat, he does not show any emotions. That's why he's the GOAT.
Right.
That's why he's the greatest of all time. The guys that have the high emotions are not consistent winners.
But I'll also tell you, I guarantee they learn that. It's a skill. It's a skill that you learn, right? For all you young players or young coaches or parents out there that are going through these types of things for the first time, like, I get it. Okay? I totally get it. We're not built with that. That's a skill. Okay? It's hard to face that stuff the first time. It's a hard conversation as a parent after watching your son or daughter fail. It's a hard time getting in that car and not trying to say, listen, it was everyone else's fault but yours.
It's hard.
You'll be all right.
It's even. I think it's even harder.
It's really hard.
It's even harder when someone is making fun of your own kid.
Sure, it's really hard.
Calling them names, calling them bad words, pushing them.
Sure, it's a hard deal. I don't. Again, I think I've prefaced this a million times. I don't have a kid. Okay, so I don't understand that. Okay, I feel like I had about 3,000 kids who have come through our program in a certain sense. And I can only tell you how I'd handle that situation, which we've talked about. But I get it. That's hard. Players, it's hard when everything's going against you. Coaches, it's hard when all of your players are blaming everything else and you don't know how to stop it. I totally get it. But if you don't stop it there, if you feed into that victimness, if you feed into that excuse making, if you feed into that blame game, or the running away side of things, or anything, or shying away from hard moments, you are doing them a disservice. Because I guarantee that situation will come up very soon again. And the more and more and more you allow that leash to get longer and longer and longer and longer, that's how much time it ultimately takes. If you might wake up as a 30-year-old one day and now you have to figure out, man, what have I been doing? I have to now figure out actually how to tackle these hard things, but I have no idea how to do it. I don't have the skills developed. And now what do I do? Or now my son, for the last 8 years of his youth baseball experiences, he's just been going from team to team to team to team to team to team to team, and he hasn't ever figured out why. It's everybody else's fault. Well, maybe it's not. Maybe it's his.
There's a massive problem with team hopping, where a player doesn't like what you say or a parent doesn't like what you do and then just says, you know what, we're just going to go to another team.
It's easy.
It's super easy, but you're not learning the lesson. Life is always going to come back every single time. If you have not learned that lesson today, it's going to come back harder and faster, and you're going to have to learn that lesson then and now. Like, you have to learn it.
That lesson's not going to go away.
No.
That situation's not going to, it's not going to go poof.
Is it easier to address that when you're 16 or when you're 40?
Right. All right.
This is why I love finance, because there's a lot of human emotions involved with it. So technical analysis, which is charting, seeing price action, right? That is the representation of human emotion, where fear, greed, anxiety, everything is dictated on a chart. And one thing that technical analysis always tells you, when in doubt, zoom out. If you are stuck on a day-to-day price, day-to-day trader, and you see that price and it fluctuates by 20% or 8%, and you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Should I sell, buy? What do I do? I don't know. When in doubt, zoom out. What does the chart look like? It's the same exact thing when it comes down to a weekend tournament and you are playing and then you're not having the best weekend. Coach doesn't respond to you correctly. Players are in your face all the time. They're calling you names. You're just having a crappy weekend. parents are mad at you because you're not making the plays right, or they're supporting that victim side. When in doubt, zoom out. You have 8 weeks. You just had one bad weekend. We're still doing this thing. Now let's zoom out even more. You have a high school career. You have 3 more years, bro. 3 more years. That's all you got. That's still a long time. Then if you want to play college ball, you have another 4.
You know what's kind of funny? It's always easier to look back from retroactively or retrospectively, I guess.
Retrospective.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, when you're a senior in high school or an 8th grader, for example, as an 8th grade player, if I asked you about a tough situation that happened to you as a 3rd grader, you'd look at me and be like, whatever, that's nothing now, right? Who cares?
Oh, but it seemed like it was the world.
But at that moment, it was everything. And it's the same thing as coaching and parents. And it's like, we should handle it differently. Well, what if you did, right? And think about that. And think about where the player now would be if they had handled that differently. They might be on a different level, right? They might be a totally different, mature type player, and they might have gained some knowledge that otherwise wouldn't have ever happened, right? So instead of looking back at it now and being like, wow, it's not that big of a deal now. Well, when that tough time hits, work through it.
I'll say this. Every single player that I have played with who had a stoic mentality, who was just tough as nails, they ended up making it. The ones that hop teams, and guys, this is not something new. So if you think like, there's people are hopping teams like crazy, like that, it's same thing that happened years ago when we played. Yeah. Those players that hop teams didn't make it.
Never.
Fact. 100%. None of them did. 0. I can't think of one dude during the middle of the year that just skipped up and didn't like what was going on and went to a different team. They never made it. Fact.
More times than not, it's probably going to continue on down that road. They probably hop from job to job.
Yeah, but just think about it. Like, if you're not happy with it, just make a switch.
And I will say something on this, because I don't want it to come off as like we're saying, well, once you're a Tiger, you have to always be a Tiger.
No.
That's not it. It's if there's a situation, we are not right for everyone. No club can ever say that. No business can ever say that. No anything can ever say that, okay? You always have to analyze. You always have to do your homework. You always have to know you and your situation and what might be best for you. So if you leave, but leave with some reasons. Leave with some like actual identify, like this next situation is better for me and why, okay? But if you're leaving due to just all these almost made up type things in your mind of excuses as to why and this and that, and
the story you're
else,
telling yourself.
If you leave for that, then you're going to leave the next one, and you're going to leave the next one, and you're going to leave the next one, and then it's going to be a trend, and that trend doesn't go well.
I'll say this. I've actually recommended some people after talking to them during the tryout time. Yeah. I've told them, this is probably not a good spot for you.
Same. Yep.
It just isn't. It seems like you want this, and these are my team recommendations for you.
I've done that with teams across the country when I'm talking to them. I've done that a bunch of times. I want to say, this is what our strengths are. This is what we can do. This is what we can offer. This is it. And then when talking and building a relationship with them, I'm like, honestly, we're probably just not a fit for you. And I try to say it's an awkward conversation in the moment, but I think it's going to help you out in the long run, because why waste your time? And, I want to try to help you, but if I can't help you, then it's not going to do anything for you.
Because the last thing I want is you to be filled with regret, or you end up hopping ship because it just wasn't the right fit, right? Now, what I'm saying though is that's a totally different conversation. What I'm saying in this conversation are the people that they have a victim mentality. They don't know how to handle adversity. Mm-hmm. They don't know how to handle the bully. They don't know how to handle the life just sucking, because life sucks sometimes. It really does. Don't get me wrong. I am not a pessimist. I love every single minute of getting to this office and working. But let's be honest. You're going to have some shitty moments.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to handle those moments? Guys, that's this episode of The Closing Pitch. Dave, what is your closing statements on this?
So I would just say this. I use this example all the time. Whenever a player comes to see me or anything, we're talking about last weekend's games, I inevitably always hear what always happens first is I hear the excuses, or I hear the issues, or I hear the problems that occurred. And I ultimately always try to shut those down right away. I'll try to ask them, I don't want to hear about that. How did you do? What could you have done different? How would you have changed it? Things like that, because I want it to be the onus on them. When those situations come up, whether you're a coach, a parent, a player, always look to you first. What could I have done different? How would I have changed that? If given the opportunity to do it again, what would happen? Think about that. If there is a huge problem, then we'll fix it. But let's look there first. And more times than not, when you look there first, you'll probably find the ultimate answer. You'll probably find out how to fix it. Okay? That's my advice. That's if you're a coach dealing with a player, that's my advice. I'll be like, no. We're not going to talk about Billy. We're going to talk about you. What would you have done different? Parents, we're not going to talk about Billy. We're going to talk about you. How would you have changed it? How would you have acted differently? Things of that nature. Why should that situation change? Things like that. That's my advice.
Stoic mentality. Eliminating the oxygen from the room. Anytime that you recognize someone that calls you a name, someone that a situation that doesn't go right and you keep on complaining about it, misery loves company. And the only way you beat that is going about your business, going back to the process, and making sure that you don't give them oxygen. If you do that, life becomes a lot easier. You don't need anybody else. You don't need to go to the teacher and say, hey, Mrs. Duplanty, this kid keeps on picking on me. Or Mrs. Duplanty, I didn't get to score this goal because the kid took it away from me in the game. Go take the ball away. Go solve the problem. That's how you're going to end up winning. Mm-hmm. Guys, that's this episode of The Closing Pitch. Please subscribe. Also, you can check out the YouTube channel. Please subscribe to that as well. Write us a review. That helps us out a lot. And if you do find something that you liked in this episode, timestamp it, send it over to your friend or family member, and we'd love to have them listen to the podcast. Thanks again, guys, and we will catch you in the next episode.